Hey, I'm Pennma. Here's more Death Battle with episode 5 of season 9, Omni-Man vs. Homelander. The Boys vs. Invincible. I went over the matchup last time. Yeah, it's evil Superman versus evil Superman. It makes sense, and it's definitely a popular matchup. Between the two, there's definitely one that I prefer over the other. But I'll get to that whenever I cover the characters. It's a fine matchup. It's definitely one. As soon as Invincible came out, Omni-Man vs. Homelander was kind of being thrown out quite a lot. And it also helped that both series are made by Amazon, so they are already on the same, level of pop culture. And they also are similarly hyper-violent. Alright, let's cover some characters. Omni-Man, the evil Superman of Invincible. Now, one thing actually that will go for both of these characters, but I'll say now, is that given that these are both series that are ongoing, in the sense that their adaptations are still going, because I'm pretty sure The Boys and Invincible are both completed series. I'm very sure of Invincible, and I'm quite sure of The Boys, but I'm pretty sure they're both completed, so all the analysis for the characters would be there, but they can't really show much of it, given that some people are they're only watching the shows, so you can't really do much. And given that we haven't seen much from Invincible, definitely, we don't get to see a ton of big things he can do, or at least the things we do see are extremely out of context. It's similar to what they had with Tanjiro, but it didn't feel as bad, I guess. Maybe because there was just more of Demon Slayer there. Or at least the big things he had were already animated, maybe? I don't know. I read as far as pretty much season 1 went, so I don't really know. But I didn't feel like I lost out too much. Here we mostly get weird things. Apparently there's an in-universe explanation for why Viltrumites can do the things they do, because, you need silly things like comics. And that probably also, so some character at some point can be I can counter your smart atoms. Because that's usually why they introduce something like that. Yeah, one of the things that was brought up, whenever this got announced, was the other Mian matchup that people wanted for Omni-Man was versus Bardock from Dragon Ball. I get it. They're both, at least, dads. It'd be Dad Superman versus Dad Goku. And at the very least, the way they described it, they literally described him as, what if a Saiyan was, or what if a Kryptonian was also, had the personality of a Saiyan. And it also points out that they apparently also have the Saiyan ability of, almost dying or being pushed to your limits makes you stronger. Yeah, there's not really much to go on, for character-wise, because we haven't seen a ton of Nolan Grayson's character. We haven't seen much of Omni-Man's character. We've just seen his heel turn, which in the comic of Invincible, which is 144 issues, the TV show adapts around the first 12, and that's when his heel turn happens. So there is over 100 issues of comic that we don't really know about him. So unlike other Death Battles, we don't really get a massive breakdown of him. Though given what we saw at the end, it's we kind of get the implication that Omni-Man is kind of questioning his relationship with the Viltrumite Empire and the general conquering, given his time on Earth and the relationship with his son, which I'll definitely like to see in the next season, because I haven't read any past that in Invincible. Maybe 1 or 2 issues. Homelander. No, I also brought up last time, not a fan of The Boys. I think just the whole what if superheroes were lame and bad. The Boys came out in 2006, I want to check. Ran from 2006 to 2012. I feel even during that period of time, it was kind of a tired concept. Yeah, here we have, what if Superman was also Captain America, but also was an utter pawn and brainwashed to the point of insanity? I don't know if anyone actually likes Homelander, because he's not a likable character. He's an asshole. One thing I think is interesting that we see is that despite the fact that Homelander is completely out of step in this fight, he has a couple things that actually directly counter Omni-Man and Viltrumites, being his heat vision, because they do have some weakness to heat, or at least extended exposure to heat can overtax their healing factor. And his sonic scream, which the weak point of Viltrumites is their inner ear, which is neat. It lends to him at least having some foothold in this fight. Some. Oh, they bring up a lot of stuff that shows up in the series, and again, I only watched season 1, so some of it I haven't seen, and I don't really care to. I feel like I walked in when someone was watching it, and it was the part where it was revealed that the new character from the season that he's like hanging out with was a literal Nazi. I did see it and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And then we get the feat that, yeah, who drew that page? And someone had to do the math to find out how much cum do you shoot and how fast does that cum need to go for it to be deadly. Yeah, that page is bad. I don't like it. I do not enjoy the art of that page. One thing I saw, at least on the wiki here, it was in the area of like connections, which I thought was interesting. And these are way past where the shows are right now. So I guess skip ahead like a minute or so. I'll change the image when it gets there. That the spoilers for both. No, but they both have like a big turning point in their relationship, seemingly both with their sons or like in their character development. But they both go different directions. Omni-Man like has his moment with the son and then decides to turn around and go from villain to good guy, apparently. I don't really know, because again, I haven't got that far. And Homelander, on the other hand, has his relationship with the son and then becomes worse. And again, have read it. Spoiler over. Onto the music. Another lyrical song. This one is Diabolical, Invincible Me by Brandon Yates. And before we get to the actual song, that name is terrible. That name is real bad. It's not even clever. Song, on the other hand, I don't care for it that much. I think it's mostly just, it's not my like taste in music. I don't feel like it kind of enhances the fight very much. I think it's fine. I don't think it's bad. I'm just not really my thing. I did recognize it as like, oh yeah, that's what those things sound like. The wiki handily pointed me. It's very similar to the song that plays when Omni-Man goes through that portal and completely decimates an entire civilization. And it does sound a lot like that, which is neat. And I do appreciate that. On to the fight now. Let's talk about the voices we have here. So first we have Tom Schalk playing Omni-Man, who has been on Death Metal twice before in back-to-back roles. He was the Kool-Aid Man and also Dio Brando. And he was really, really good as Dio. And he's also really pretty good as Omni-Man. The Omni-Man doesn't get a ton to say, but he does a very good job. I won't say imitating, but he definitely gets across the whole, the vibe that J.K. Simmons was kind of going for, especially near the end. It's more intimidating, I guess, because he's going for just like, I'm going to murder you vibe. It's pretty good. On the other hand, we have Yang Yi, I think that's how you pronounce it, as the voice of Homelander, who is actually reprising his role from the 7 Battle Royale. And it was also the voice of Sanji back in Sanji vs. Rock Lee. Who's neat. And the trivia here points out he is the dub voice of Poochie in JoJo Part 6, which is neat. That's cool. I didn't watch the dub because I cannot handle listening to people say the wrong names of stands. Onto the fight. This one is interesting. This is a fully hand-drawn fight in the style of just the general Rooster Teeth animation. I feel like it definitely blends very well with the Invincible art style. There's some issues I do have with it. Notably, the fight feels short, and I know the reason for it because when I watched it again before recording this, and I definitely checked because I remember it felt short. I checked when the fight started, and then I checked when the fight ended. And it is a full 3 minutes. However, there is a large portion of that which is the start of the fight, where Homelander is just like taunting Omni-Man, and the fight hasn't started yet. Which I think works really well for the fight, but it definitely makes it feel like the actual fight portion is a lot shorter, which I guess it is. I think that some of the impacts are a little weak, and I think a part of that is definitely the whole, it's a Superman versus Superman. They're both going to be at least no-selling the hits as best as they can. Or maybe I'm giving them credit where they don't deserve it. But also, animation's hard. And I think maybe some of them is just like weird angles. Like the part where they're like fighting in the air, I think that's pretty good. I think overall it's pretty fun. Definitely, like, if these two characters ever actually met, like, that's a big thing with a lot of the fights where people are like, if they actually met, they would be friends. They would not fight to the death. No, these guys would throw hands, and Homelander would fucking be a puddle. And, like, I try to keep it a secret before I talk about the death, who dies, but, like, dude, not even their own, like, Twitter account supported Homelander here. Like, this was a dead man walking. Or flying, I suppose. I did enjoy a lot of the stuff that was happening, like, and he did get to use his, like, minor advantages. Like, he got to both Omni-Man's ears, and he used his heat vision on him a bunch. But then, I got the death here, at a very appropriate, for both series, extremely violent fashion. He rips off his lower jaw, punches his heart out of his back, and then shoves it down his now, like, gaping mouth hole, because he ripped his goddamn jaw off, because he promised him at the start of the fight he was going to feed him his own heart, and then crushed his head like he did to Russian Flash. Very appropriately violent. I thought Omni-Man was just very cool in this fight, and it was very nice to see Homelander just get very brutally murdered, because no one likes him. When we got to comparing the two characters, thankfully they brought back the pluses and minuses. I guess they just forgot for the last episode. But boy, this really showed the disparity in the characters. Like, yeah, it was neat that Homelander had a couple things that could counter Omni-Man, but they were not good enough to do anything about it. Because, like, yeah, you can shoot lasers and he can't, but he is very fast and very strong. So infinitely stronger than what they haven't done. He is 7.2 billion times faster and 60 billion times stronger. That's so big of a gap. I don't know if that's the biggest gap we've ever seen, but it's pretty big. And also how, in this, they describe Homelander is the strongest being in his universe, so he's never had to try and improve. So he just, doesn't know how to fight in the slightest. I did enjoy this, especially now talking it through. I did enjoy it, but I feel like some of the low points. Here's the cheat list. I forgot to do one last time, but yeah, here it is. I would say I enjoyed this the least so far, mostly just due to a big thing I enjoy in Death Battle is, like, kind of learning about characters, or at least if it's a character I know, just kind of going through stuff we know about them, which we couldn't do for these characters, given that we can't go too far. You don't want to spoil people, their adaptations are ongoing, which is unfortunate. I feel like I took away. Also, the fight felt short, even though it wasn't. And I checked, it's not short. The fight part is, but the animation isn't. Not bad, but I would just say I enjoyed it the least out of the 5 that have come out. But will I say that for next time, where we have Magneto versus Tetsuo, Marvel versus Akira. Now, this is another one of the ones that was teased, but got Tetsuo teased at the end of season. A bunch of fights that were going around that he could have been going up against. But the one that everyone expected was Magneto, which, sure, I don't really get it. I have seen Akira. Yeah, I don't really know how he connects to Magneto, the master of magnetism, because I guess he does make that, like, robot arm, but that's more like psychic. He's a telekinetic, whereas, that's not exactly magnetism. I don't know. I do think the connection is a little weird, but I'll just wait until the episode comes out to find that out. Again, if I was going to put money on someone, it would probably be Magneto, just because, comic history. Though I haven't read Akira. I did watch the movie, and he does turn into a big nuke at the end, but I have a feeling that Magneto at some point has survived the equivalent of a nuke. Like, he's no mega level mutant versus this kid that can't even control his power. I don't know, I would give it to Magneto. Also, I like Magneto more. Who doesn't like good ol' Ian McKellen? He's cool. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see next time. And until then, I'll catch you later, I guess. Bye.